All right, guys. So this is a groundbreaking exclusive. Coach Dennis here with Coach Durwyn. My new podcast, Shut the F Up podcast. And so this is new, man. I'm not a podcaster, but I'm trying, So I've done a few videos. I'm still working out the logistics. So be patient. Maybe the speakers don't sound the best, or maybe the sound isn't the best, or the video isn't the best. But as we grow, we're gonna get better equipment, and it's gonna be better. But right now, we might not have the best technology, but we're gonna have some of the best content. I got one of the realest coaches in the game, Durwyn here. He's been from the bottom, starting from nothing, all the way to the top level of sports, coaching fighters in the UFC. So, he's one of the first people on my list to contact, to get on my podcast to talk, man. That way you guys can get the inside on coaching and how it really is from one of the realest in the sport. Yeah. So I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It's an honor, brother.
So, man, let's just start from the beginning, because like everybody's got a story, and a lot of people, man, people don't know their story. So let's just start from the beginning, from where you from, where you grew up, and then just go through the timeline to you're fighting, and then you're coaching, and then even to today. So
yeah, man, I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, here in this city. Been here most of my life. Been around different places through moving around. Lived in Colorado before. Lived in Kansas for like 9 months, but mainly most of my life has been here in Fort Worth, Texas. But yeah, man, martial arts was a family thing. Mom, dad, biological dad, my bonus dad, which is I would say stepfather, not really stepfather, but the guy that raised me. All of my family been in martial arts, or boxers, and so it was just kind of like a thing, man. And I kind of got into it because of that. I really wasn't really interested in it at first, but going to karate class with my mom and going to watch my dad and them fight in tournaments and stuff, I started getting intrigued with it, and I started training in Taekwondo and then karate myself at about 8 or 9 years old. Then I started taking off from there. I started competing at about 9 years old and competed all the way till about 15. Stopped for a short stint. Got in trouble for a little while, trying to find myself, trying to figure out who I was in this world. And then got back to it in my 20s, man. Started fighting kickboxing again. And then actually won a world title in kickboxing too. I won IKF in 2008, but I started kickboxing again. And then that led to me actually coaching my stepson at the time that I was married, coaching him at the time. And then also his mom, coaching his mom, who's one of my first pro boxer. And then I built my amateur boxing and MMA team from that. And so I started out in Diamond Hill Recreation Center in a small boxing gym. Ended up transferring there to one of my cousin's gyms, and then one of my students that I met through the years had got out the military and opened up a gym. We opened up Phalanx like 2011. And then that got shut down, and I came and opened up continuing Phalanx over here in 2013, and then I changed it to Lamb 4 and been training, man. Trained high-level fighters, been coaching. I've had some pro boxing fights myself, a few MMA fights, Muay Thai fights, and won a world title on IKF. 5th degree black belt in karate, been doing Taekwondo, 1st degree black belt in Taekwondo, and been doing Jiu-Jitsu off and on for about 20 years, So I've been in martial arts for a while. Love the coaching game. Built a good solid fight team from coaching. Had 3 people that we did with the UFC: James Vick, Shauna Dobson, and then Kevin Holland. Those were fun times, and just learning as a young coach, and now being 46 years old and being in the game that long, 20 years coaching, and now just looking for new adventures,
Yeah, I know, man. So with Phalanx, so you had you came up fighting, and then you started Phalanx. So why did you retire from fighting?
Well, because I didn't really get I hate to say this, but I really wish my career didn't get to take off as much as I would like to, because I was coaching. So I was coaching while I was trying to fight.
Right.
So I would try to like take fights while I was coaching, but my main focus was coaching and getting these other guys and young ladies up and going. So in between those times, I would take a fight here and a fight here just for myself, with barely any training, being honest with you. It was in me. I wanted to compete, you know, and so I just took these few fights here and there just to keep my competitive spirit going. But the main reason why I didn't get to just take off like that, and had to stop fighting, because my focus was trying to run a gym, which was tough, you know that, and then trying to train these fighters up and get them in a position that they need to be in. So I was being selfless, you know, for other people, because, you know, they were younger. I feel like they had more of a time frame to do what they wanted to do, and if I could help them get to that place, then it made me feel better, you know, to do that.
Yeah. And so you chose to start coaching after a while. You're like, let me help these people get better, you know, as opposed to just focus on yourself and just fighting, even though you weren't even having time to train the way you wanted to when you were competing. And that's tough, man. It's hard to do both.
It is.
It's hard to do both. I mean, there's some coaches out there that don't believe you can do both. They figure like you can only give 100% in one area, meaning if I'm coaching my fighters 100%. If I'm training for myself, I'm training myself 100%, rather than 50-50 or 80-20. Something's got to give, and you're not going to be able to give 100% to everything.
Right.
And then others believe you can. So, but you know, I've done it. It's tough, man. Right. It's hard.
Well,
it's hard
for me, man. One of the reasons for me is that I think a lot spiritually. So I come up, man. I was a troubled kid, troubled young man, and it took me a long time to kind of like find who I was, my identity, my niche in life and stuff like that. And I saw a lot of myself in a lot of these younger people. So my thing was, man, how can I help make their lives less stressful? Because my life was stressful. You know, I didn't have a lot of guidance, so I had to learn life on the rim. I had to do, I basically like, you know, like there's no book to life. So I didn't have really a lot of direction. So I was bumping my head a lot in life and getting in trouble and making mistakes and trying to learn from those mistakes. And so when I started coaching, I like coaching fighters, but mainly I like coaching. I like God using me to coach the spirit of the fighter, like seeing what's in them, what's troubling them, the things that they need to work on to try to help them become better people, better than better fighters. If you become a better fighter along with me helping you, then that's perfect. That's icing on the cake. But I want to help develop character skills and, you know, life skills, the stuff that we're going to need to survive and go in this life, because I know how hard it was for me to not have those tools, and it took me so long, and even into my 40s it did, and I had a hard life because of the misguided and not direction I had when I was a young man. So now when I'm coaching, I'm like, when I'm teaching pad work stuff, I'm also dropping, you know, hey, what's going on in life? What are your desires? What do you want to do? Hey, don't do this. Hey, if you do this, you get in trouble with this stuff. So I'm always dropping that because, you know, those things never really was told to me, and I had to learn. And I'm glad I went through those ways, because now I can show the other young people that. So I used two worlds together. I took, you know, the spiritual side and the coaching side and brought it together, and just used that to like help these young people, you know, get their goals.
Because people don't understand, with coaching, man, it's such a selfless act, because, you know, the fighters are the ones making the money. The fighters are the ones getting recognition. The fighters are the ones getting the glory. And so a lot of times the coach is just in the background, and people don't see that the coach is using their own money to fund the gym. They don't see that the coach is using their own time. They don't see that their coach is neglecting their own life, even their own family, even their own friends, to be there for those fighters, to be there for those athletes. Because you go out and coach a fighter, I mean, it's 2 months for a fight camp of your focus on your fighters. You know, so for those 2 months, you know, you focus on them, and people don't realize, you know, the sleepless nights and everything that goes into, you know, helping prepare a fighter, you know, helping prepare an athlete. You know, they just think, oh, he's coach, it's easy. It's not easy, man. In a lot of ways, in many ways, I think coaching is harder than fighting.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
it's a thankless job.
It's a thankless job, man.
Thankless job before, and then you set everything right on the button, man, and then, you know, and then it's everything you just said, and sometimes, man, it, for me anyway, it put me to a point where I almost didn't want to do it no more.
Right.
But it was just like my calling, and not just a coach, but also just to be a leader and spread a message that God want me to spread. And so it's like, I had to learn, like, okay, now you just, as you get seasoned, you pick and choose who you train and who you work with, who you coach, you pick and choose. And I think that's maturity and growth as a coach, is knowing who to spend your time on and who not to spend your time on, because everybody's not going to appreciate it. Everybody's not, you know.
Yeah, and also too, like, it's almost like if you have, you know, training, like real training, you it's almost like you're not going to make any money.
No.
You know, you're really going to make the money with the cardio stuff, the cardio kickboxing, the cardio boxing, people that are really fighting.
Fitness
really
classes, kids, women, combat classes, those.
Right, but these guys, what they don't understand, you treat these guys, these athletes, like family. And it's real to you, and they're your real family. Right. And then at the end of the day, if they, you know, stop, you know, for whatever reason, I mean, it could be any reason, you know, oh, I want to go train with my friends over here, or I want to train, this place is closer, I want to, you know, I just want, you know, whatever the reason is. And then that's not even talking about, like, when they're being disloyal, right? You know, thinking that, oh, the grass is greener over here, or there's, you know, straight up stabbing you in the back, because you know, in a lot of ways, when you're a coach, you're bringing these people up, you're training your competition, right? So that dude that you've been working with for, you know, 5, 7, 10 years plus, he could open up, you know, a block away from you, you know, steal your clients. I mean, there's so much disloyalty in the game.
Yeah, man. It happens. I think there's more of that treachery and disloyalty and that kind of stuff. There's more of that than it is honor. Right. And the reason why I say that, because I come from a traditional martial arts background, and that what we was taught was honor amongst your brothers, bowing and respect and shaking hand and not doing that stuff. Back in the day when it was opening up schools like that, and that's before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu actually hit America. My dad knew was when karate was the blood and guts of Texas. You know, they had a honor amongst the group to not open up gyms that close to each other. Right. And even if they did, sometimes they would come to combat and say, okay, whoever wins get to keep this spot, whoever don't goes to the other spot. So there was honor amongst that, and there's not that no more. And I think that's what bothers me more now as a coach, because I came in the game with great intentions. I came in the game with wanting to do right. I came in the game with wanting to treat people right and doing that, and not stabbing people in the back or not doing shitty things to my fighters, or taking from them, or not taking fighters from other coaches. But the opposite happened to me. People left me when we got to a certain place, or people would take guys from me, or people would go other places, then come back, then go other places, and then they don't see nothing wrong with that. They think like, and a lot of these guys think that, like, that you owe them something. Yes. And you really don't owe them really nothing. Like, they act like they're the golden thing that they have, that you have with them, and it's not that. And it's a lot of delusional people in this world, and I see it. And this goes just from promoting from the fighting, the coaching, I mean, it's horrible. I mean, the management is like, I see it, and it's been like that, and it's, you know, it's all cutthroat, and it's like, for what? You know, who's really making that much money for you to be doing those kind of things? Right. Who's really making that much money? There's a few coaches that I know that are really rich off of, or wealthy off of owning a gym and training fighters. Right. A few of them.
A few. It's hard, man. It's harder than people think, especially the disloyalty. I mean, and you bring these people in, you spend so much time, you know, you damn near go bankrupt, damn near go homeless for these fighters to get them to the top, and they just stab you in the back, or they stab you in the heart, and that shit hurts, man. That shit hurts, and you're just like, man, why am I even doing this? Right. You know, but then you'll have those loyal students, you know, that make it worthwhile. You're like, okay, I'm gonna keep going, because I've been there praying, you know, when I first opened Jiu-Jitsu in 2012, it's like, man, I just opened the doors, and I was seeing how things really were. And I'm like, man, I don't even know if I want to be doing this.
Right.
And I got on my hands and knees and prayed, and but people came in to the gym after I got off my hands and knees praying, and they were just telling me, man, if it wasn't for Street Jiu-Jitsu, I would have left my wife. If it wasn't for Street Jiu-Jitsu, I would have left my family.
Right.
If it wasn't for Street Jiu-Jitsu, I would have committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't Street Jiu-Jitsu, I would have went back to drugs. And I'm sure you have those
all the time. Those are the main ones. I mean, my gym is always like a spiritual
like
place.
a ministry.
Yeah, for
It's
people
a ministry.
to come to. Yeah,
It's like a church, man. It's a real church,
Right.
but instead of just singing Kumbaya and stuff like that and holding hands, and you're actually working through it. They're actually working through the stress. They're hitting things. They're punching things. They're choking
and
things.
then becoming
they're
friends.
Becoming
Other
friends.
students become friends.
Yes.
I've had people become roommates from being in my gym,
Get
becoming
married.
best friend, being in my gym.
Yeah.
I've had people, what I like is when I see on social media, and I see all the people, all the clients and all the students in my gym hanging out, being friends, becoming really close friends, supporting
Yes.
each other. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
That treachery and all that other stuff, I'm out. I'm done with it. I'm out of it, man.
Yep.
And I'm just past
Yes.
that kind of growth and thinking,
Yes. And so, as a fighter, talk to me a little bit about, like, the difference of going to a fight as a fighter, knowing you're about to step in the ring or the cage or the mat, as opposed to a coach, and then you're bringing a team out, or even if it's just one fighter, the thoughts going into your head, prepping for the fight, during, showing up on fight day, and then after the fight, as on both sides, first as an athlete and then as a coach.
As an athlete, it was like kind of tough for me, but I'm a very sharp, strong-minded person when things got to get done. So the few times that I fought, I had to wrap my own hands.
Right.
One time I had to show my brother how to hold pads for me right before I was gonna go to my pro boxing fight. I had one time one of my own students work my corner. My first pro boxer I had worked my corner in one of my fights. Me taking a fight on a day or two notice and driving up. There's times I went to El Paso, drove El Paso all by myself, with one of my buddies, so my thing was different because I just had a different mentality. Now, as a coach, I try to make sure I do things different. When I first started coaching, it was trial by fire, learning different things like that. But I would get a little bit more tense and a little bit more nervous for the person that I'm coaching than I did for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
And so
that,
I just want guys, because I don't want nobody really getting hurt on my watch and things like that. So I just want people to be successful, win, lose, or draw. And I don't care what nobody say. I like to win. That's why I've been so successful for these many years, is training pretty good fighters, because I put together a program for winning. When I first started coaching MMA, it was tough because most of my guys were strikers, so people did not want to stand up with my guys. It was like a understood universal thing through the coaches. Like when we first started, this guy Lamb, kickboxer, boxer, striker guy. So then people start figuring out, well, hell, just take them guys to the ground.
Yeah.
And that's what started happening. And then when I figured it out quick, I said, nope, we got to change that, guys. So then I brought in high-level jiu-jitsu guys and coaches and wrestlers, so my guys can get that other thing, so they can be successful, with that. So I did a lot for the team and for the guys, because I cared about their well-being, about them winning, and I cared about my well-being and winning as well. But to answer the question, the process with coaching is a lot more. It takes a lot more like focus and critiquing and time than it did for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then so as a fighter with a family and as a coach with the family, how does that change the dynamics?
Man, the few times that I fought, just being honest, I wasn't in a good place with my marriage at the time. So I was just, I felt like I was alone anyway. Like I kind of felt like, nothing against her, I'm not saying nothing bad toward her.
It was your mentality.
Yeah, it was my mentality. I just felt like, because where we was at the time, it's just, I had to like think about myself, and think about what I need to do. Because honestly, being real, a couple of times I took the fights was because I needed the money.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
a lot of people won't tell you that, but it's being honest.
Yeah.
Because I needed the money and I needed to move some things around. I was going through some things at the time, and oh man, it was
back against the wall,
yeah,
man. You're
tough.
back against the wall.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I got to get this bread.
Yeah, it was tough.
You know, and then you might be sore or injured or whatever, but you got to get that. You got to get paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people don't understand that, man.
No, they don't.
You know.
No, they don't. And trying to run a gym.
Yeah, and you gotta, and you were married at the time. That's gotta put a strain on the relationship too.
Yeah.
You know?
It didn't, only because she was a pro fighter too.
Oh, okay.
So she understood. The strain became of the years of the issues that we had, you know, with that. And that put a strain on things. But as far as like that didn't matter. Now I will say in what you're saying, that in the way it did, because I remember there was times where, you know, and I remember this specifically time, man. I remember one time we had all these people in the gym, like probably like 50 people in the gym. And she came out to the gym and saw those people and instantly went back in, slammed the door and got mad. Because you know why? She was like, and I'll never forget this, you know, to my heart. Like, this was one moment that I always will have with her with this. She said, all these damn people in this damn gym and none of them paying their dues. They're all just coming in here using equipment, using all this stuff.
And using you. And that's when you were fighting or coaching?
Coaching. I mean, at the gym.
So you were coaching. So, and that's the thing too, as a fighter, you know, married to a fighter, she was a little bit more understanding.
Yeah.
And then as a coach, you know, you sacrifice so much.
Right.
You're not even collecting dues and payments. And she could see that.
Yeah.
And
then we're suffering.
And you're suffering. And
we're
she's
suffering over here.
Yeah.
People don't know we're
give
suffering.
a fuck.
No, they don't.
They don't give a fuck.
They really don't.
They don't care that their
no,
coach
they
is
don't
suffering.
care. They don't care if you're suffering. They don't care if they leave. They don't care to pay your dues.
They don't give a damn.
And then guess what these sons of guns do to you too? They'll do all that and still talk about you behind your back and blame you like you was the one that was wrong. And look you dead in your face. And look you dead in your face.
It's a crazy
and make it seem like they're the
man.
victim and you're the one that's been done wrong. And you're the one that done them wrong. It's a really sick mentality to me. And honestly, this is why I pulled back so much from giving my time.
Right.
I would just go, I would put on my pads and work pads with anybody that wasn't paying me. I would get to a point where there were guys that, Coach D, man, I don't have a coach in my corner. I work people's corners for free on purpose.
Yep.
No, and then I had to stop all that. I had to stop all of that because
they just take and take.
And no
they
give.
would take and take until there's nothing left.
Yeah.
I mean, they will do that.
Yeah, well, that's what they did to my gym. And that's why my gym is, you know, why I'm leaving the gym and partnering up with somebody else, because I couldn't take on that load no more. There was a meme one time, I don't know if you've seen it. It was a guy in a grocery store and it showed a guy. It was two pictures. One picture was a full grocery store.
Yeah.
Of everything. And then one was when it was nearly empty. Because this store guy would come in, the people would come in from the neighborhood and he would help them out and be like, hey, mister, man, can I grab a can of canned goods this time? I'll get you back later. A lot of IOUs.
Yep.
And they just kept doing it to where he had, and then the other picture showed he had nothing left.
Yeah.
And then now but no one's around when you have nothing left.
Yep.
No one's around when you have nothing left. And so I always think about those kind of things. You know, I'm not mad at nobody. I'm not upset with nobody. I don't, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't hold grudges.
Right.
I'm forgiving and understanding. But moving forward, you know, it's a different thing when you got a family and children and other stuff to take care of.
Right. Yeah, because, you know, you got to set boundaries. And that's something that as a coach, you have to learn to do, because you're so loyal and giving and loving to your athletes. You just assume and expect them to do that right back.
No, but it's not the case.
But it's not the case. And it takes time to be like, you know what, I'm going to put a line in the sand and make these boundaries. And it sucks, but a lot of times you got to keep it business.
You do.
You know, you got to keep business. You can't even be friends with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the ones that, like you said, with the grocery store meme that you're talking about, the guy with the grocery store, I haven't seen the meme, but I can understand.
Right.
I can understand the thought behind it. Is the guy with all the food that's making money for his grocery store, those people are paying him. He's not being friends with them. It's all business.
Right.
He's like, you can't pay, get the fuck out of my store.
Right.
I don't owe you anything. You're not entitled. You know, like, But the guy that is, that's his community, that's his neighborhood. He loves these people. He's trying to help them out, and they're gonna bleed him dry.
Right.
So it's like, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough, and it's, in a way, it's biblical, because Jesus did the same thing.
Right.
Man, he gave everything, and people just took until they eventually physically killed this man, like murdered him.
Right.
And he was the best person that ever lived.
Right.
So how are you gonna take the best person that ever lived? He's gonna give you everything, and you pay him back by killing him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost a metaphor for being a coach in a way.
So if they done that, think about this. If they done that to him,
right, what they gonna do to you?
What are they gonna do to you?
Yeah,
because at least we are not perfect.
Right.
He was. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
even if you're perfect, they still coming after you.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. Jesus was the perfect teacher.
Right.
He was a rabbi. He means teacher. He was a coach.
And they still did
he was teaching these people. He was making their lives better and showing them the way.
Still did it, man.
And they still just,
you
know what I mean?
This is the world.
The most perfect man.
This is the world that we live in today.
Yeah.
100%. And a lot of these people are people that walk around with victim mentalities. And a lot of these people walk around acting like they're the ones being done wrong when they're the ones doing stuff. The problem is that we don't have people dealing with accountability,
right?
Self-accountability. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to fall, but check yourself and try to fix and correct yourself, because you're going to have a hard life if you don't do those things. And so those are the things I try to instill into my guys when I'm talking to them. A lot of times before training, I have these talks with them so I can put inside their brain on how to be and how to live and how to think as human beings in this world. You know what I mean? Because I know that it's hard, I didn't, my coaches was my parents at a young age, but I really didn't have no coach when I was an adult, So you see what I'm saying? So that's what it was. So I didn't have a me to these people. I didn't have that. So I'm trying to show them that and show them these values. And a lot of times they come back. What's funny is a lot of them become coaches now. Then I get the messages. Or when they come to the gym, Coach, I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
I can't believe you went through this. I don't know how you did this in 20 years. I don't know how you did it. I see it, Coach. I said.
It's like being a parent.
Right.
When the kids are out running around being crazy, and you're the parent disciplining them, teaching them, and then they have kids, and they'll call you up later on, Dad, Pops, I know what you went through. I don't know how you did it dealing with my crazy ass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with students becoming coaches. It's the same way. They over time, they eventually get it. Some of them, the smart ones, the ones that are trying to get better will eventually get it. Some, unfortunately, they'll never get it. Right. But it's like, it's the same thing with kids. And, and I know you got, what? Two kids. You got an older one and younger one. Yeah. So what's some of the things that are different between having an older kid when you were younger and fighting and coaching to now having a younger kid as just coaching? What's some of the difference?
Well, the big difference is I have a son and I have a daughter. My son is 22, pretty self-efficient kid, really intelligent. I was able to, through the grace of God, be there with him with the grow up so I can teach and talk and work with him. And he just who he was going to be good anyway. Never been in trouble, never caused issues. Great kid. But then again, I had joint custody, moving back and forth. He didn't live with me till he didn't start living with me full time till he was 15 years old. So before that, he was going back and forth in Colorado with me and his mom. And he was 15 when he came here with me. So he's pretty self-efficient by that time, But now, flipping it and having a daughter that's 5 years old that needs dad's attention. All the time. Need dad's caring, need dad's love, needs it all the time.
Needs it and wants it.
You've met her before. You've seen her, man.
She's daddy's girl.
She is. So that automatically changes the playing ground for me and playing field for me. So now I truly, and being older now, and being older now, I could deal with things a little bit different. But I truly have no tolerance and no room for people to be taken from me in my life, knowing that I have to take care of her. Right. You see what I'm saying? That changes things quick, and it changed the mentality of me fast, and it makes me put boundaries up so strong that it's like, okay, these kind of boundaries should have been put up a long time ago. And if I'd had these boundaries that I had now, I'd have had a successful gym. Yeah, because you just,
overlooking the fact that people are taking advantage.
Yeah.
Like when your wife got upset, you were trying to help these people, and you were overlooking the fact that they were really just taking advantage of you. I mean, just to be honest, just to be honest, man, just to be honest. I mean, because how many of them was really, you're training them, they're past due on their dues, they're not making payments. How many of them are really paying people into the gym?
Yeah, they're not doing that either.
To cover themselves not paying. No. How many of them were grabbing a stack of flyers, a 500 flyers, 1,000 flyers, canvassing the neighborhoods and putting flyers to get to help you build business.
Doing privates in your gym.
Yeah, doing privates, doing anything extracurricular to help your business. Hey, let me run the front desk. Hey, let me return phone calls.
No, I'm saying they doing privates in my gym.
Oh,
and not paying.
And privates are not paying. That's different than privates and paying. But privates and not paying, that's even more.
On top of
you not worse.
On top of you not bringing people to me. On top of you not doing dudes.
That's a slap in the face.
And on top of you not appreciating me, and on top of you trying to down me behind my back like I did something wrong to you.
I mean, they just don't stop, man. They don't stop, man.
No, they don't. They don't stop. That's why you got to stop it. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't stop it, it ain't gonna stop. Mm-hmm. And so once you decide to say enough is enough, then it stop. Right. Now either way, they gonna get mad. They're gonna get mad either way. Oh, he stopped coaching, or he stopped doing this. Well, you're damn right. Right. Because I'm not gonna be taking advantage. I still gotta live. Right. I still gotta continue my life. If I'm stressed out and worried, you're not worried about my stress. You're not worried what I'm going through. You're not worried about what's in my life and what's going on with me, like I was with you. Right. I was worried about you. I was worried about your kids. I was worried about your woman. I was worried about your life. I was a guy you could pick up at 2 o'clock in the morning, call or come pick you up. I'm him. But nobody was worried about my life. Right. You see what I'm saying?
It's tough,
So, and I get it. They think that coaches and leaders supposed to just have it together, have it all, but they don't know what truly goes on. Right. They don't know the times I cried in my house by myself. They don't know the times that I couldn't pay my car note. Right. They don't know the times that I couldn't pay my rent. Right. They don't know the times that I could barely feed my kids. They don't know the times that I barely had anything for me to eat on my bank account. So they don't know these things.
And what's worse
but they don't care either.
And what's worse is it's bad enough for the ones that just don't know, but it's even worse for the ones that know and don't give a fuck.
Oh yeah.
That's even
some of them know. Yeah,
some of them know. They're like, man, this motherfucker ain't got nothing to eat, and they're here eating, they're doing whatever, spending money.
Well, they don't have money to pay dues in the gym. But then you see them online taking trips. Yep. You see them online at the restaurants, at the finest restaurants, at the bars, drinking at the tabs, kicking in with their family, doing all these extravagant things, going on trips. Yep. But then they don't have $99 or $100-something to pay their coach every month.
A month? You ain't even talking about a day, bro.
But they'll spend that.
Yeah. They'll spend that in a day.
20 minutes.
In 20 minutes, man. And it's just like, it's just.
No, it's ass backwards. Right. And I ain't, I'm not with that.
There's a lot of no love, but but then you do have the diamonds in the rough. You do have those loyal people that come up, and and you're like a big brother to them, or maybe a father figure to them and their family, and those are the ones that make it worthwhile. But it's just sad, you're building this team, and people don't, man, they just really don't give a fuck.
Yeah, man. Right. Lately, I've gotten more people that appreciate the game more than I don't. Mm-hmm. I get more people that. I get more love and more support than people, than more than people don't. It's just those ones that don't. It's really tough because those ones are just like. But I realize that people go through their own things, their own ways, and they got to find their own journey, their own accountability in life. I just know that I got to set the boundary and say no more. Can't do that.
So what helped you, coming up as through your life, to be the person that you are today, like through your life experiences, like what helped shape you, good or bad, to get you to the mentality that you were at before to be a fighter, and then the mentality that you were at before to be a coach, and where you're at now? Like what helped you on your journey, or what did you experience, good or bad? Or
a lot. A lot of it was trying to really truly find myself, my identity as a man, my place in this life. And during that journey, I was moving around, getting involved with things, gang affiliations, street activity, bad relationships with women, and getting involved with those things put a lot of trauma and torment But I knew as I was coming up in this world and life that I did not want to live like that, and I didn't want to be like that. I understood that I didn't want to be like that or live like that. So the stuff that I went through, a lot of the bad stuff and the traumas and the trials and tribulations is what literally made me the man I am today. And I can tell you that I'm still growing. And still growing. I'm pushing 46 years old. And even it took up all the way into this time in my 40s to really figure a lot of things out. And I'm still learning. But the reason why the intellect and the understanding is inside my mind is because I've opened up my heart and the free will that God gave me to continue to grow and continue to learn. Because let's be real, I don't care if you're 70 years old, you never stop learning, you never stop growing. And you got to always be working through yourself, because you're battling the flesh and you're battling the spirit.
Right.
And the spirit and the flesh is never going to agree with each other.
Right.
You know, so that's why we got to work on the spirit being stronger than the flesh. So for me, it was my trials and tribulations, because I can tell you that I'm one person that's probably dealt with more trials and tribulations and trauma than I have done with peace. Most of my life has been some that was my fault,
right?
Okay, some that it wasn't, but all was because of where I was as a kid and how I was coming up and where I was thinking and where I was going. And I just knew that as I got to a certain place that I decided that I wanted to be a productive human being in this world, and I wanted to spread love, and I wanted to receive love, and I wanted to do good things. And although I wanted to do good things, I kept bumping my head doing the other things that I was doing because I didn't have the true guidance.
So what was enticing, you mentioned gangs, so what was enticing to you to join a gang?
I'm going to say something that a lot of these young guys or these tough guys are going to say. It really was identity crisis, trying to find yourself, fear, wanting to belong to a social gathering. That's what people do, sports, whatever. Want to belong to something, want to feel that protection, want to feel cool. You know, just a young man.
Right.
The stuff that young people go through, wanting to do that, want to feel cool, want to feel like I belong to something, want to feel like I want to be like my cousin, I want to be like these guys, I want to be like that. When really, that's not who God created me to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad that I went through these journeys and through this stuff, because it's helping me do what I do now.
Right.
See,
you can relate.
Well, yeah, that's why. So coaching opened up avenues for me to do public speaking,
right,
implement life empowerment programs in the school system around here and stuff like that. So I'm glad that I went through some trials and trauma in my life, because now if I didn't go through those things, then I wouldn't be able to help and teach these kids. Now, I don't come from bad people. I don't come from a bad stock or bad families, bad things. Just that I was in environments and surrounded myself environments that caused for me to be more on the negative side of life than the positive side, because of the people, of the peers that I was around and people that I was dealing with.
Right.
And it kind of forced me into being that way.
So how does one, find a gang, and then how does one finally join it? Do you get, an invitation? Did they just say you're in? Do you have to, what I'm saying? Like, how does that work?
Well, it's kind of like you find each other. It's kind of like with the martial arts world, somebody walk in the gym, like mine, you find each other when you're out in the crew, out in the group. You ain't got nothing going on. You're not playing video games. You're out in the streets, moving around, stealing bikes, doing stuff like that. It's cool. It's testosterone, even at that age. And
so how old were you think?
When I first started trying to be involved with that stuff, I'm gonna say about 16 years old.
And so by then you were already training martial arts.
But I had stopped. That's the time for those years I had stopped, because I thought I was too cool.
Yeah.
So let me share this. I thought I was too cool to do karate
right.
and all that now.
Yeah. And back and when you say karate, people don't understand the type of karate that you were doing. Nowadays it would be considered more. It would be more. Nowadays it would be considered more like Muay Thai. because it's so watered down.
Right.
You know, but back in the day, old school karate, like
tough.
Machida,
Yeah,
like what
those
you were
guys.
doing. I mean, you guys were just basically doing Muay Thai without the gloves,
Right.
or without, you know,
Yeah.
or even with the gloves,
Yeah.
but you just got a gi on, you just got a kimono on, you beating the shit out of each other. I mean, it was legit.
Yeah.
But what happens is, here in America, people, it's, you know, we're capitalists, and there's nothing wrong with capitalism, but they understand, okay, here's where the money is. The money is giving out belts to people for doing the bare minimum.
That's
the money
right.
is not trying to help people improve, just accept them as they are, give them participation trophies, participation ribbons, and just charging them and making money, charging belt fees, testing fees, you know, and having a bunch of little kids and giving them all little black belts. And that's what they realize. And so they water down the sport of karate, and it's so watered down that it might not ever come back the way it was, as far as like real physical fighting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because now you've got boxing is still legit, you got Muay Thai is still legit, and the karate over time is watered down. But now we're starting to see, you know, Jiu-Jitsu starting to get watered down a little bit, because everybody wants instant gratification, and everybody wants belts, and they don't want to work for it.
Right.
You know, and then if you need to make money, you're like, you know what? Here's your belt, give me some money. You know, and people, they get enticed to that. You know. Absolutely. And so you know, so you were fighting for real through martial arts, then you got away from it because you're trying to be one of the cool kids, and then I guess you're just running around the streets, you know, stealing things, doing things, running into some people.
Yeah, and got me in trouble.
And you know, it got you in trouble. And then, you know, so then what, do you get on probation? Do you get?
Yeah, I've been in jail, been on probation, and then also, you know, choosing the wrong women. You know, sometimes choosing the wrong women that clash with that, and probation, going to court, fighting court cases, dealing with that stuff, you know, for a long time, probably since I was the first 16 years old.
So how do you, okay, so you were training, you know, get away from training, join these gangs, start doing dumb shit, getting in trouble, going to jail. How do you get out of the, what made you get out of the gangs? Like, how did you realize, like, this ain't for me?
It was more affiliation, man. There was more guys that were way more hardcore into that stuff, that really, truly was willing to die for that lifestyle and live that lifestyle and die. I wasn't so much the type that's willing to die for that stuff.
No, you're just around it.
And just, I realized at an early age that God made me different in my brain. And when I got to see the guys I was around, I knew that I was different than them.
Because there's no retirement plan in that shit.
No, I was,
no retirement plan.
Well,
you can't build nothing either.
No, I was different than those guys, even spiritually, because the way that I was brought up not to be that kind of way.
Because you knew in the back of your mind, something's telling you that you're different and this ain't the right way to go about it.
No, because I wasn't raised like that. Now I was around, I had family members that was like that, but I was raised with people, you know. Now, although they didn't tell me to stay away from the streets, it was just like, they weren't like that. My parents weren't really like that. So it was just the people that I was around, my peers and even family members, that was more like that. So
how old were you when you finally realized, like, hey, this ain't for me, I'm out, and let me get back, I
was pretty young, but I was still going back around to those environments.
Oh, you'll pull you back in.
I was going to the clubs that was around those environments. I was hanging out in neighborhoods that was around the environment, still hanging out with some of my same friends in that environment. So I was still around it. But when I stopped officially, like just stopped being around that stuff like that, was probably in my early 30s.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you went a long time with that shit.
Yeah, like 30, you know, but you know, think about that. It's still young.
Yeah, it is young.
It's still young. Yeah. Man, still developing. Let me tell you, I realize a man really don't become like full into his manhood until he is in his 40s.
That's what people don't understand. So so what happens is, life is short.
Right.
You know, if you're lucky, you might get to 80.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you're lucky. And even if you get past 80, what is really your quality of life?
Right.
You know, you might be in a nursing home. You might be just sitting on the couch all day. You can't really move too much or enjoy life too much. You know, especially if you're not doing martial arts and eating right and eating healthy to have your body to have that mobility and that quality of life. Right. So when you're 10 years old, you're just running around, you don't know what the fuck's going on. You know, and then from 10 to 20, you're trying to find your place, you know, with the cool kids. And then when you go 20 to 30, you're like, man, I'm fucking hustling. I'm broke as fuck. And you don't know how to do shit. And then you don't even know how to really even be with a woman the right way. You know what I'm saying? You be just, you see porn or something, be like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you don't even know how to have sex, and then when you get 40s, you finally start, you start maturing, you start getting some wisdom, and you start making some money. You start getting some assets, you start having things, you start making the right moves. And then at 50, your body starts going downhill to betray you. And then at 60, now you're senior citizen. Right. At 70, now you're just fucking old. And then 80, you know what I'm saying? So you really have the times where you actually, your money matches your wisdom a lot of the times. Even if you're not making a lot of money, you're just making better decisions, is around 40. Right. And that 40s and up, you know how to make wise decisions. You've been there, done that. You've been through the dumb shit, from your 20s to 30, and you know how to, deal with women, even sexually or whatever. But so it just takes so much time. Right. And then once you reach that,
you're like, your life is halfway over.
It's halfway over. And then on top of that, people are telling you, you got to settle down, you got to pick one. And you're like, man, I just got my prime. Yeah. You know what I mean? I tried to settle down and pick one and do all these different things in my 20s when I didn't have shit. Right. You know what I'm saying? And not only did I not have shit, I didn't know shit. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And so like,
I was the opposite, man. I didn't want nothing. I was opposite. I got married at a young age, but it was just I needed to get out of a situation, and it was kind of like survival mode.
How old were you when you got married?
25.
25, that's young. Yeah.
So and it wasn't a good one. On both ends, I have nothing negative to say about her. I was in a rough place, and I wasn't right in certain areas, and we wasn't right for each other in certain areas, and so because of that, I've never had any healthy relationships with women, and then it just kept trickling down, falling, and that's what happened. And then finally, when I get to the place to have that, I was so messed up from the past and traumatized from the past things that's happened in my life as a child and with other women, that when I finally got, you get the one right in front of you, you carry the same baggage to that person, and then but you realize it, but then now you're willing to say, okay, that wasn't it, I gotta be this way and change, but some damage has already happened.
Yeah, the PTSD.
So PTSD happened, and then it affects the one that you love as well.
Yep. And then PTSD comes back, and you're like, damn, I'm right back in. Yeah. It's like a veteran having that PTSD, being in the military. Some noise or some thought or somebody says something set them off.
Yeah. The main thing is that you never truly got the healing, right? That you needed from the past stuff, and so you brought the unhealing things to the woman or to whoever it is, spouse, woman, man, to the woman that you really care for or love, and then you bring that same thing, and then it's like things happen and fights and arguments, and these things get out of control that shouldn't have happened because of the PTSD and the traumas and the triggers that you had before you even
met that person. And then she's bringing her PTSD to yours, and
absolutely. It's like broken people find broken people, and stuff like that.
Broken people. And the reality is we're all broken. Everybody's broken. Yeah, well, spiritually broken, emotionally broken.
I'm glad you said that, because people don't realize that everybody's broken in their own way. Yep. And so when you find yourself to judge everybody else for what they do, can't, because everybody has their vice and everybody has their thing. Yes. Well, how can God fix you if you first not broken? Yeah. You got to be broken in order to get fixed. Yes. And all of us are that way, because we was born into this world broken. We was born into this world
broken.
That's
what Jesus said.
Yeah, we was born into this thing.
He said, I'm here for the sinners, for the broken. Yeah. If you ain't broke, I ain't here for you.
So we have to be careful of how we sit up there and just go at people, judge people all the time. Sometimes what God want us to have love and compassion for our fellow man. And I think we lack that in this day, and I think this is why the world is where it is today.
Yeah, Jesus gave it all, man. He didn't have a house. He didn't have a wife. He didn't have kids. Right. He didn't have money. I mean, he gave everything to these people. his heart and soul, his blood, sweat, and tears, his life,
Mm-hmm.
and they just gladly took it.
Oh, damn.
You know what I mean? They don't care, and I'm glad that now you learn, now at pushing 46, I'm setting motherfucking boundaries.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for that too. And me, I'm 43.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
I'm pushing 43, and it's like I'm the same. It's like I gotta have boundaries.
Yeah.
Whether it's with family, friends, business, whatever. And
Yeah.
and I started saying more than ever, it's just business, man.
Right.
It's just motherfucking
Right.
business, because I can't be letting people take advantage.
Mm-hmm. You don't anything that costs your sanity and your peace is too much. And you also want to be the person that I know what I'm thinking. I also want to be the person that bring that same kind of love and peace to somebody else's life, and not stress their life out as well. Just as much as I don't want my life stressed out and not peace, I'm the same way. I don't want to do the same thing to somebody else. So at that same thing, it's a balance, and it goes both ways there.
And so at 30, you kind of leave that some of that craziness behind, which is, life is always gonna throw curveballs at you. You're always gonna go through some shit, but you're still here, man. You still grinding every day. You got people that love and care about you, and you got people that you love and care about.
Yeah.
And so it's a different. And then for a while too, I don't know if you're still doing it, but you were even getting into promotions.
Yeah, I am.
On the promoting side.
Yeah, I got my promoter license now for sure. I'm doing a lot of exhibition boxing fights, Tuesday night fights, a lot of exhibition boxing. And then
where are you doing those?
We was doing it at the Yard in Fort Worth, but now we're at Whiskey Garden now.
Whiskey Garden in Fort Worth. Okay.
But now I have my pro license, and we're gonna start throwing our pro boxing and MMA and kickboxing shows here in April. So
nice, bro.
Yeah.
So, love to hear it, man.
Excited about that, and partner up with another gym with Aces Jiu-Jitsu. With Mikhail Abdullah, good brother, brought me in. I'm gonna be one of the owners of that gym and running that location, and be moving in there this week. And so excited for all the new things that's happening to me. Got a podcast starting up myself here pretty soon. So, when God dropped things off, He add things.
Yes.
He doesn't close a door without having another door opening, and we just have to be able to be humble and accountable and receive. I think the biggest thing that we need to be as human beings is patient. That's one of the hardest things to do, is be patient, because patience will have you overthinking, patience will have you wanting to do things this way, down that way, and not taking your time. So I think everybody has appointed time in their life for when it's their time to do the things they need to do, whether it's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Everybody has their time, and we just got to keep stepping forward and making those steps forward every day to see what that moment is and when that time is.
So now you've been an athlete, you've been a coach and a promoter. What are some of the things you like about each one, and what's the biggest differences or the things you don't like? Or what do you think like you're more closer to?
I'm really excited to see what this promotion thing can do. I have a good eye for that. I've been watching promotion for years. I've actually promoted before. People don't know this. With my other partner, Alex Madrid, we had Phalanx Amateur Combatants. We threw one at the Texas Motor Speedway. We had North Texas Ultimate Fighting. We threw a show in Alvarado, and we threw one at the gym when Thomas and Chris had the gym over there. We used their facility for that. So I've done 3 shows before. I'm actually excited to see now the maturity of where it's going to go. I like to take this thing to the next level to where we're doing big things, how they did the Triller shows, and I want to see how that takes off with all that.
So you're doing it all, man. Fighting, coaching, promoted. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know where you go from there.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, those are really, being in the fight game, those are the 3 things really, is athlete, coach, and promoter. And you did it, and you're doing it. So, that's what's up. Coaching, I mean, is that something that you're gonna always do, or are you not sure yet, or are you kind of more leaning to promoting?
In some way, I probably won't coach fighting forever, but I'll be doing. My main goal is to write a couple. I've already wrote a rough draft of my book, and it's actually my life doing a combat sports coach. This is my autobiography of my life as a coach. So you'll see the intels and stuff that we're talking about now, but the details, I've already wrote the rough draft, so I'm working on that. I'm going to write an autobiography of my personal life called Evolution of a Gladiator. And then my main thing is to do seminars, martial arts seminars, and I want to do a lot of public speaking. That's my main goal, is to be public traveling, doing public speaking, and touching people's spirits and lives. Not to hear myself talk, but to watch people and share my testimony and my heart with people, and to feel people, and for people to feel me, because that's a gift. And so that's what I want to do. I'm going to use those gifts that God gave me to travel and do those things, and go talk to the kids in the elementary and middle schools. Continue to do that, because I do that now, high school, colleges, and stuff like that.
That's it, man. That's the 2 commandments summed up. Love God, love others. That's it.
That's it.
You know, and that's what Jesus did. Go around fellowshipping with people. I mean, he was always out and about in the streets, just walking around, just linking up with people, hanging out with people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't just off just by himself. You know, he would go off by himself and meditate and pray, but he wasn't just off by himself, you know, doing nothing. He was social. He was going to parties. He was going to weddings. He was going out, you know, meeting strangers, like, hey, let's kick it. Like, from day one, hey, you come with me, let's kick it. Like, you know, and so, and you're kind of on that same journey, on that same spiritual path, you know, to reach out to people, man. And it's a beautiful thing. Talk to me about, like, what, you know, coaching at the smaller level, you know, coaching fighters at, like, these smokers and smaller promotions, and then getting all the way to the UFC. Like, what's the biggest difference, and how did you feel going into your first UFC event? Like, just the emotions, and then just take us through, like, and the day in the life of a coach waking up and it's like, man, we're gonna be in the UFC, you know.
I was prepared for those moments because I've been coaching so long. It's just that the scale's a lot bigger. It's bigger. The professionalism, the structure's different. Behind the scenes, the way they handle things, they got their own AR, publicists, all that kind of stuff. I think that was pretty cool to be able to see that, how they have the outfits, the uniforms out, the schedule, the times of the trainings, the you know, how you got to be there at the interviews. I liked seeing that and being a part of it. I like the traveling part of it, being able to go to Vegas and Florida, these different places.
There's some water right there.
No, I'm good. To these different places. So, but walking out, the crowd was a lot bigger. I just zoned in, focused on the walk with the guy. And man, you can feel the energy a lot louder, the energy a lot bigger. Yeah. And that's pretty cool. But it's the same thing, but just on a larger level. You know.
Bigger scale. And I'm sure the amenities are nicer. I mean, do they, you know, I mean, they put you up?
Yeah, nice like hotels. They give, you know, per diem and stuff like that. That some of the local promoters can't really do or not do much. But we need these local promoters in order for these guys to get to those big shows.
Yeah, because a lot of coaches, I mean, they're thinking, like, if I can get one of my athletes to the UFC or to the big leagues, you know, Bellator or something, they feel like, oh, then the sky's gonna open and I'm gonna get all these, you know, recognition and get all these people to come to my gyms and stuff like that. And, you know, so what's the reality of it? You know, of you know, thinking, okay, I'm here at the UFC, coaching the UFC, now I'm gonna have thousands of new students coming to my gym. You know, what's the reality like?
It's not a reality, that much of a reality. The reality comes from the person that you're training and you're working with, that's in the organization to help you, to help do that, you know.
The fighters.
Yeah, shout outs on live, you know, bumping your coach up, you know, showing video, you know, telling people to come to your gym when you come back home. Those are kind of things. I never really got that. Yeah, I never really had people do that for me, but it's okay.
Because it's one hand washes the other. You help them get to the highest level of the sport, and it should be like, okay, coach, let me get you. And
I don't take credit for their work ethic, and I don't take credit for them putting in the work and doing what I do. I've never been a big person on, hey, look at me, y'all see me, but it would help. You know, there's only a few coaches. I got a good friend in the UFC named Trevor Whitman. He's a coach out of Colorado. He has Kamaru Usman and all those guys, Doug Rose, good friend of mine. And I seen what it did for him because those people took care of him. Those guys took care of him. Justin Gaethje, those guys took care of him. Some guys, Israel Adesanya, take care of his coaches. Conor McGregor, they take care of these guys. There's a few guys that do it. It's not a lot, you know, it's not a lot. I was telling one of my guys the other day on the phone that man, I got just as much as credentials, if not more than some of these guys, but it's because sometimes the position that they were put in and where they're at, or the people that they were training, how they looked out for them, is what got them there. I never got a chance to receive that part of it. And I'm not mad or bitter about it at all. I understand what's going on now. I was upset at first when I was younger through the years, and I thought, nah, man, my validation and glory don't come from no man anyway. It comes from God. And that's how I live my life. You know what I'm saying? And the things that I have and the things I would need, and they would come from him anyway, because I got to go to him, which is the source. And then he will provide the resources.
Facts, man.
Yeah.
That's facts, man. We did an hour, so I don't know, man. I don't know how long it's supposed to go, but I know Joe Rogan be doing like 3 hours, 3.5. But we're a new podcast, so and we'll have you on again too.
Yeah.
And by then hopefully we'll have some better equipment, stuff like that. We kind of see where you've gone with promoting and coaching in your new gym, and where our podcast has gone as well. But and then you're about to do a podcast too.
Yeah,
so.
About to start one here pretty soon with a friend of mine, Justin Nelson. So we just get letting everything take its course, man. Just looking for this new journey. And this new journey that I'm on, it's been a long time. Been waiting for it for a long time, and just everybody has an appointed time. All these years I cried and thought, why God? Why am I struggling? Why is this going on? Why is these things happening? And then it get to a point where it's like he's showing me like, okay, now it's time. We're ready to move and step forward to what you deserve and what you need. And I think what kept me grounded was humility. The whole time I stayed with humility and self-accountability. Everything that I've done wrong or in my life or did, I accept it, take accountability toward it, and then change it. And just stay humble. People forget that word, humility. When people see me, I'm a very laid-back guy. I'm not into all that stuff, man. I just want to life is already hard as it is. I don't want to make, I just want to do things the way that I need to do. If I slip up, make a mistake, fix that, get back on it, and just keep walking straight, because my time here is short. If God gives me any time, I might have 40 years left to live, maybe.
Or you might have 40 minutes. You never know. You never 4 days maybe, or whatever. So you know what I mean?
I think like that, and I'm going to be like that, and I'm just going to let God deal with me and whatever I got to deal with, so I can just keep pushing and keep winning. Because when it's over with and when it's all said and done, I can't take none of this stuff with me except for one thing: the stuff that I left behind me in the spirit, which is my teaching and what people learned from me and what they got from me. And may they also pass that on to somebody else.
Each one teach one.
That's
man.
it, man.
That's it. So that's beautiful. So where people can find you if they want to train with you and learn from you and train under you, like at ACES, Jiu-Jitsu in Fort Worth.
Yeah, the new location would be 1786 Mall Circle. Over there across the street of the parking lot of Ridgemar Mall. Find me on Instagram at Durwyn Lamb #4, Facebook Durwyn Lamb, and my YouTube channel is Fighting His Life with Coach D, and my business page is Lamb4.
So I'm gonna put that on the description of this podcast on YouTube, so it'll have all Coach Durwyn's contact info if you want to reach out to him. It'll have his gym where he's at if you want to come train, and then follow Coach Durwyn if you want to check out some of the fights and promotions that he's putting on. We're gonna be at the Statler tonight. He's got a guy fighting. I got a guy fighting. And so, man, anything else coming up? Anything new else you want to say before we go? New with you, or you want to just say before we?
No, man. Just appreciate you having me on. Both of us keep going through our journey that we need to go through, and you guys out there watching, don't let nothing stop you from achieving what you're supposed to achieve, because it is going to be tough to get there. You're going to have your trials and tribulations. You're going to have your hiccups. You're going to have your problems. But the name of the thing is, if you don't give up on you, then you can't lose.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, man. We out. Oos.
Peace.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Much love.
Much love, bro.
Yeah. That was